Hey guys, thanks for joining me for another Dissidia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia video, and today I'm going to do something a little different. So I'm going to talk about the newest, what is it, the Dimensions End fight, the newest Shinryu. You can see only cleared by 4% of players right now. So normally what I do is I record like my Dare to Defy and my other Shinryu runs. Well, this fight was so tough and so annoying, and I tried recording several times, had to retry waves a whole bunch because the fight is very hard. So instead of showing my fight, because I never... So here's the thing, my Dare to Defy, I did fully record, but the fight was so long that my phone, like, rejected it. Like, it didn't have enough memory to hold the fight. I think it was like a 40-minute fight or something. And then on the actual Dimensions End here, I tried recording each wave as parts, and then I would get to the last wave, and then that team didn't work, so I had to scrap all the videos. I just got tired of trying to record it. So I just kind of did it on my own. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about my team setups that I did for the Dare to Defy and then also for Dimensions End. Talk about the fight. And I guess I'm going to complain a little bit because I feel like the fight is, once again, it's similar to the Spiritist tree with Sid Reigns, where I feel like they overtuned it way too much to one character, where you feel like you have to use the new character to almost beat it, right? And in this fight, it's in a very much particular annoying way. Now, I don't think this is as restrictive as the Spiritist tree because there are other characters that can fulfill the gimmick. It's just a little bit trickier to get it going with them, right? So, for those of you unfamiliar, and I can click into the fight here and we can look at the enemies. So, it's these stupid floating heads, okay? So, yeah, these floating heads, the thing that's annoying is, well, one, the fight is 3 waves, which for, I guess, the length of the fight they want. I'm glad they split it up into waves, because at least if you fail on a wave, you can retry from that wave. You don't have to restart the whole fight over. So I did appreciate that part of it. But the part that is really annoying about these guys is when they enter their force time, they'll do an attack. And that attack will basically instant kill you unless one of your characters is under 50% health. So the idea here is they want you to use Dark Knight Cecil because he lowers his health. And he's typically under 50% is where he wants to be, right? And so what happens is when they go in their force time, as long as someone's under 50%, they'll just do a normal version of the attack, which won't instant kill you, but can still do damage, right? The other thing is then while they're in their force time, any attack that they do, or one of the main attacks, is the same thing, where it'll instant kill you if they get the plus version, and that's if you don't have at least one character under 50%. So the thing that's annoying about this fight, or that I'm frustrated with, is like the actual fight mechanics and what the bosses do, I think is fine. It's actually a fun fight. In the second phase, they have a mechanic where like they constantly counter you with a brave attack anytime you attack them. And so what they're trying to push there is Cloud's paralyzed, because if they're paralyzed, they can't counter you back. What I like about that is, one, if you don't give in to the gimmick, they at least don't insta-kill you and you can deal with it. And 2, there's a lot of units that can paralyze, so it's like you're not forced to use Cloud in this fight in any way, right? What I don't like about the other mechanic, it's a really annoying mechanic, being under 50% health. And here's the thing, there's very few characters in the game that actually self-inflict damage. So, to me, after Dark Knight Cecil, the first character that came to my mind that would probably be pretty good in this fight is Arden. Because Arden's LD puts him down to basically 1 hit point, and he's invincible, so he's a really great fit for here. So the reason why I think it's a little bit better than the Spiritist tree is that I feel like there are more options other than just the one. Like the other one, it felt like it was Sid Reigns, or like you had to wait till Crow came out. Now I know people did it in other ways. These are very creative, very smart players. I consider myself more like an average player, and for me, like that Spiritist tree was like, I didn't have Reigns, so I waited for Crow and I did that, and that was the way I got it done. Now same thing here. I feel like most players are going to have Dark Knight Cecil on their team. And I did this with a no FR, no BT Dark Knight Cecil, because I refused to force myself to pull for one fight, and I never recommend you pull for one fight. But that's what this fight felt like they're trying to do. They're trying to push for Dark Knight Cecil so much that it felt like it was putting pressure on players to pull for this character, like more so than an event should. Anyways, you could try to bring Arden. Now, if my Arden was like full built, like FRBT, I maybe would have tried Arden. I ended up doing Dark Knight Cecil, right? Now, there's characters like Vivi. Vivi can lower the party's health. whatever. So Vivi could possibly work here. Rinoa lowers her health, but the problem with Rinoa is she has so much like life gain, and she's got HP regen that like you can't keep her under 50%. The moment her turn pops, she's gonna regen, and it's gonna be crazy, right? So I feel like she's too hard to use. You could use Jack, who lowers his HP down to 1, and then he gets dodged. The problem is some of their attacks aren't dodgeable, and Jack is a very weak character right now. So like, this isn't an easy fight. So like, even if you take away that mechanic that they insta-kill you, if they didn't have that, this still would be a hard fight. They have a lot of HP. You can't just walk in here with like a no FR team and expect to just crush this thing, right? So yeah, there's characters like Jack that might work. Even Vivi, right? Like Vivi's dated right now. Now he's got stuff coming on JP, but we don't have this updated Vivi. Vivi might be tough to get through this fight just because his damage might not be there, right? So anyways, my big frustration is just the gimmick that if you're not under 50%, that you instant die. I think a more fair mechanic would have just been if someone's under 100%, because then that way you can use someone like a Rinoa or a Vivi and you don't have to worry about it being all the way under 50%. So anyways, the team build that I ran was Penelo, Dark Knight Cecil, and Seiss. Seiss, I think, is actually really nice in this fight, and if you are using Dark Knight Cecil's FR, which I did not have, Seiss does dark damage and really fits into that. But Dark Knight Cecil dealing dark damage kind of helps with Seiss's FR, whatever. But I really wanted, my thought was I want Penelo to wipe these things off the face of the earth as quickly as possible, right? The part that makes their, so the part with the force stuff, right, when they instant kill you, it still wouldn't be as bad, but because like in the Dare to Defy version, it wasn't an issue, and I'll talk about that fight after this. The Dare to Defy one, I did not have to use Dark Knight Cecil, and that one was a lot more balanced, I felt like. The reason why this one's harder is they ramp into FR ridiculously fast. Like, you can have Penelo, like, turn 1 ramping, and they will keep up with you. Like, you can get ahead of them, but just barely. And then if you pop the force, you better kill the wave, otherwise they're going to get you, right? And so I have seen runs and clears where people kind of ignore the HP mechanic on this, but you have to use very powerful characters, and you have to ramp quick, and you got to get them out of there. You have to time your summon very well. You have to time your burst phase as well. You have to time your force times well. It's kind of like a balancing act. And even for people that get it done, they have to do different attempts, or many attempts of the same wave, to get the timing right, to get everything right. It was so fragile on this fight. So here's what made mine difficult, is that Penelo is going to carry HP regen, and it's very hard to like not have that on Dark Knight Cecil. So what made my fight very difficult was I had to balance my LD uses a lot with Dark Knight Cecil, my AA uses and all that, because he typically was HP regenning. So the problem is with his LD's instant turn. So I'd use his LD, go below 50%, but then he HP regens right away. And then I would have to combo that with Valiant Blow to actually pass turn, and then it would still lower him below 50%. So anytime I wanted him, because I had HP regen going, to actually have him below 50%, I would have to LD and then Valiant Blow. And then if my health wasn't at full, sometimes I could just Valiant Blow and get below because it's a 40%. But like his 15 CP only does like 15% damage. So very rarely could I even touch that button. And a lot of times I couldn't even press his EX because his EX didn't lower his health at all. And with the HP regen, we'd be in trouble. So the big thing here, you don't have to keep him constantly under 50%, but you got to make sure he's there in time for the FR threshold. And once again, they hit it really fast. So like some of my runs, I would be on like wave 3, and it would be like, all right, I'm going to do one normal Dark Knight Cecil turn, and then on the next turn, I'll get him below 50%. And sometimes the boss ramped so fast, by the time Dark Knight Cecil got a second attack, he already went into force and killed me. So there's just a lot of frustrating things there, but we got through. So really all this fight was about, you just let Seiss do her thing. Basically the first wave has 3 heads, but they do have very low HP, so you can kill them pretty easily without a force. And they die. You only have to get them down to like 30 or 40% health, and they die. The thing with all of the phases, though, you guys have to keep in mind, is if they are in force time, they cannot die. So you have to make sure that you're not in a burst phase, or you go into your own force while theirs is up, and you try to kill them because they can't die. So that's the other kind of nuanced thing about this fight is, what I did was I kind of let them, for the first phase, if I wasn't going to ramp up and like kill them right away, I let them do their force and let it pass, and then, because I think that's what I did. I took it slow in the first phase, just did my attacking. I had my force up, but they were about to get theirs. I just did normal attacking, and they were like almost to their threshold where they died anyways. I let their force pass. I went into my force time. I literally did like one attack in my force time, and they died. And then I started the next phase in force time, pretty much starting on a fresh force. So I was able to go through, do a ton of damage to the second wave, and then I think I actually did get into my second force and finish them off before that. And I think I did a Sice force for that first force. And then the third wave, I think it was just 2 Penelo force times. And so what I did was, I think the first force was I just did a normal one where I just got them to like 50%. And then the second one, I did the big heavy one comboed with Penelo's burst phase and finished them off. But once again, it was balancing timing when I had Paladins or Dark Knight Cecil below 50%. And then if they got into a force time, I had to make sure I let it pass before I started my big ramp for the finishing blow. The first force you do, like if you know you're not going to kill them, you can force when they're in force, and that's fine. As long as you're not going to hit the threshold, they're going to die, right? But you want to make sure if you're going for the killing blow, they cannot be in force time. So we eventually got it. It was fine. It just took me a lot of attempts. It's a long fight. And yeah, I did it with a very low invest Dark Knight Cecil. So so the other reason this is better than the Spiritus Tree, there's more characters besides him that can fulfill the requirement, but it also doesn't require full invest. Whereas the Reigns one, I felt like you kind of had to have full invest Reigns on that. Like you really needed the BT effect, you really needed his force time to get that one done the way they wanted you to, right? Alright, so with that, let me go to my Dare to Defy here. Alright, Dare to Defy. And let me talk about this version of the run, which was different. So if you guys have been really struggling with the Dimensions End one and haven't even tried the Dare to Defy, they definitely tuned the Dare to Defy one down. So let me just go in here really quick. So here's my Dare to Defy run, which once again, I did have fully recorded, but my phone couldn't handle it. So here, this was a no Dark Knight Cecil run. This was Luna, Freya, Jack Garland, and Core. So I'm like, this fight I could tell was hard. And there's only one more Dare to Defy stage left. So I'm like, all right, I'm ready to bring out the big guns on this fight. And I was fine doing that. So yeah, I just featured Jack Garland as my main attacker. Kind of just did everything how I normally would with this team setup. The big thing was I just had to make sure. So basically this team was just not let them get a force time at all. So I just did everything quick enough and killed them quick enough that they just didn't get a force time and we got through, right? And with Luna Freya, I could very quickly ramp. If one force wasn't enough, I would quickly ramp into another one and get it done again. Or I would time my summon so that I knew I could kill them before it went off. So this fight was a lot more straightforward. Still was difficult. Like, I didn't get it done my first try. But we definitely got it done once we got the timing down. And it was really making sure I saved my premiere, like my best version of my force time for like the very end. So I saved my Garland summon. I saved my Garland BT effect. I saved all of that until the last phase. So I kind of went lighter on the first phases. I think I used either Luna Freya or Core FR early. And we got through that way. So anyways, guys, let me know if you got these fights done. If you're as frustrated as I was, and maybe you did some cool unique comps. I already saw in my Discord some people were posting team comps without Dark Knight Cecil for the actual Dimensions End. That's great. I know some of you all can get that done. Some of you all are smarter, better players than me. I'm someone that I like to beat it down as directly as I can with the teams that I like. So anyways, guys, let me know what you thought. Thanks for watching. We'll catch y'all on the next one.